What it do, folks? It's your boy Charles Younger here, coming with Maryland Live at the Voice of College Football. Like I said, I am your boy Charles Younger. You can follow me at all social media aspects at Charles Younger. That's CharlesYonga. And unfortunately, my co-host Mark Gray will not be joining us today. He is down at the beach celebrating his second anniversary with his lovely wife Ronnie. So for those of you who follow him on social media and etc., send him a happy anniversary gifts, anniversary greetings to Mark Gray, the Grays, Mark and Ronnie, as they are enjoying their second wedding anniversary down at the beach. Now let's get into business. Yesterday, May 22nd, at the hotel in College Park, the University of Maryland introduced its new Barry P. Gossett Director of Athletics, James E. Smith, in front of a lot of local media and your boy, who was there filming his very phenomenal Canon DSLR camera. Not the nice high-end stuff that some of the other networks are, because you know what? We don't have that budget like that. So, but we had the opportunity to sit and listen to a few of the things they had to say, and he had a very good press conference. Um, President Pines introduced him. Daryl Pines, who has been the president, university president, he talked to about some of the things he wants to do, some of the things he wants to say, and some of the things he wants to accomplish while he is at the University of Maryland. He is not a what you call a local boy, but he wants to ingratiate himself into the Maryland family. So first things first, the press conference is around 35 plus minutes. We're not going to play the entire press conference. I do have some clips I want to show you, starting with his introduction speech to the Maryland alumni, Maryland Association, Athletic Association, and I want to show you a little bit of the Q&A he did after that, and we'll go back and forward with that. So first things first, let's go with James E. Smith's introduction to the University of Maryland Athletic Department.
Thank you very much. And I couldn't see any of you because Scott was blocking the view. So, appreciate President Pines. Thank you so much for the kind words and introduction. And to Commissioner Petiti, I'm honored that you made the trip across the country to be here today. And to all of you, friends of Maryland Athletics, the coaches, the staff, thank you all for being here. I'm grateful and humbled for such a warm welcome. Quick story, my wife and I arrived last night and got checked into the hotel here, right? It was really interesting, flipped on the TV, and on almost right away, the news came up, a headline on NBC News, and it said, "Anticipation builds at the university for tomorrow's guest speaker." I'm thinking, wow. They're really rolling out the red carpet for me. And then a few minutes later, the anchor ran the actual report, and of course they were talking about one of the great legendary alums here, Kermit the Frog. And it's really an honor to be the warm-up for Kermit, so I am thrilled to be here today, and I'm obviously more than happy to take a back seat to that legendary turf.
Now, I want to talk about how he doesn't take himself too seriously. He does have a sense of humor when it comes to who he is as an athletic director. As for those who don't know, Kermit the Frog is technically not an alumni, but Jim Henson, the great Jim Henson, the great Muppeteer who created the Muppets, was a Maryland Terp alumni, and Kermit the Frog is obviously his greatest creation. So, referencing the history of University of Maryland by mentioning that Kermit the Frog, who gave the commencement speech at Maryland's graduation yesterday, Thursday, May 22nd. And like I said, give himself a little sense of humor, showing the fact, hey, I don't take myself too seriously. I'm just the athletic director. Kermit the Frog is an icon of American pop culture. So, and let's go further on to see what James E. Smith has to say about what he wants to do here at the University of Maryland.
I'd like to acknowledge a couple of familiar faces here with us today. First, I had a chance to meet this morning with the talented senior athletic department staff, Colleen, Sue, Mark, Kirby, Carrie, Eric, Sean, and Brian. They have been amazing in my few weeks here, not even a few weeks, 1 week on the job. And it's really, thank you for making this transition as easy as possible. So proud to join all of you.
Now, the group he was talking about was led by Colleen Storm, who was the interim athletic director after the previous one decided to jump ship to SMU. I won't say his name because he is persona non grata on our show. But after he left ship, and she had to basically pick up the pieces and hold this ship together until we found a permanent replacement. So once again, he gives credit to the people who are here before him, and shows that he wants to ingratiate himself into the system here at the University of Maryland. Moving forward.
Jay Rosello, Chief Legal Counsel for the university, who chaired the search committee that brought me here. Thank you very much. To the person who my first text from a Terp came from Scott Van Pelt, and I sincerely meant a lot to me to see your text come in from our mutual friends at ESPN.
Again, recognizing another great Terp and SVP, Scott Van Pelt, who you might know as one of the lead anchors on ESPN, the mothership up there in Bristol, Connecticut, who hosts the 11 p.m. Biggest sports center of the day, which gives all the recaps of all the games. SCP has been a staple at ESPN. Now, think about the connections you have there with ESPN being, the mothership, the flagship, the end all be all of sports coverage, according to some people, not anybody, But Scott Van Pelt is the biggest name on that brand. I think bigger. I think he's bigger than Stephen A. He's bigger than McAfee. They might make more money because they're probably, but they're not journalists. They don't cover sports. They are clickbaity opinion guys who all they do is just chirp, chirp, chirp about what they like, what they don't like. But SVP is a name you want to have on your side when it comes to talking about college athletics. Now let's move on.
To be able to be in the room with a fellow former Buckeye, Hall of Famer Gary Williams. Gary, thank you.
Funny thing about that, everyone remembers Gary Williams as the coach of Maryland, but he did spend some time as a Buckeye. So that's a great little inside joke for those who know that both him and both James E. Smith and Gary Williams were employed by the Ohio State University, which is also another good point because look at the level of talent, the level of prestige that the Ohio State University is when it comes to college football. Now, obviously, Maryland has a good reputation in college sports across the board, having 49 championships across all sports since they joined the Big Ten, which is, I think, leads the conference. But if we get football into the level of all the other sports, who knows? The sky is the limit. But like I said, Gary Williams. But on a side note, I did meet Gary Williams in the elevator at the hotel. I was packing up my stuff, getting ready to head out to get rest for lunch. I got hopping there, like, hold the elevator, and guess who was there? Coach Gary Williams, the Hall of Famer himself. I must admit, I was a little starstruck. I didn't think that, at the time, I was like, maybe I should ask some questions, maybe blah, blah, blah. I was like, at the same time, he's probably like, I'm tired. I'm going to go home, get out of here. I want to avoid the Route 1 traffic before it gets too crazy. Because for those who know, in the DMV area, Route 1, Baltimore Avenue in College Park, the press conference ended around probably around 2-ish. So you want to be out of there and off Route 1 before that kicks in, because you will be there for the rest of your life until the next rush hour kicks in. So smart move by Coach Williams. He's not a Hall of Famer for no reason, right? So Coach Williams got out here. I wanted to ask some questions, but I also felt a little, awkward. Just like, hey, you're probably just trying, get out of here, go do what you got to do for the rest of the day. But Coach Williams, like I said, Hall of Famer, he approves of this move.
Earlier this morning, I visited Gossett Hall. I will tour the Barry Gossett Basketball Performance Center, and my official title is the Barry P. Gossett Director of Athletics. So I couldn't be more thrilled to actually meet the man in person a little earlier. Barry, thank you for all you do. in a position that has your name on it. Thank you. I'd also like to briefly acknowledge someone who's not here today. Andy Geiger, former athletic director here at Maryland, was a mentor of mine. We overlapped at Ohio State, partnering on many of those building projects that you see on that campus when we were way ahead of what.
Andy Geiger is a legend when it comes to college athletics. He was a huge, obviously a huge role model, huge important person to J.G. Smith, showed him the ropes. And unfortunately, like I said, my mic was having issues earlier when I was talking about Barry Gossett, who is a huge 1970 61 alumni of the University of Maryland, big person when it comes to funds, giving funds to the university when it comes to raising money for the university. So that's who Barry Gossett is, and Andy Geiger also one of James E. Smith's role models when it comes to being a now athletic director at the University of Maryland.
The rest of college athletics was doing. And it was Andy that really inspired me to lead with integrity and have a bold vision for what college athletics can be. So Andy, if you're watching, thank you. I stand up here today with a clear understanding of the enormity of the moment. Not just for me, but for all of you. For the University of Maryland, for the athletic department, for the coaches, and for the enterprise of college athletics. The college football playoffs, conference, everything seems to be changing right now. Conference realignment, college football playoffs, name, image, and likeness, roster limits, television rights, transfer windows, the very business of the model of college athletics, all changing. It was President Kennedy who once famously said, "Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past and the present are certain to miss the future." I love that quote, because inherent in its words is opportunity. For those willing to grasp the mantle, there is an opportunity for change, opportunity for growth, for innovation, for leadership. President Pines has grasped that mantle. Commissioner Petiti has grasped that mantle. And I'm standing here today because I too want to grasp that mantle. And again, I'd like to thank President Pines for giving me the opportunity to lead at Maryland Athletics Forward. President Pines spoke kindly about my experience with several professional sports franchises, my time in alumni engagement at Ohio State. I've learned the business of football, soccer, baseball, lacrosse, facility construction, and operations.
Now listen to what he just said there. Baseball, basketball, football, soccer, lacrosse. Those are some of the biggest sports here at the University of Maryland. So it's good to know the fact that he's not a one-trick pony. He's not focused only on football. He's built relationships in soccer with MLS, which we have the DC United right down the street. He worked for the Atlanta Braves. Our baseball team here at the University of Maryland is one of the best in the country, competes every year for the possibility of playing in the College World Series. Our lacrosse, men's lacrosse team, by the way, quick shout out to our men's lacrosse team, playing in the Final Four. So tune in tomorrow on ESPN to watch the men's lacrosse team try to take down those crazy Syracuse Orange is a Terps, number 2 seed, Syracuse number 6 seed. The game was May 24th in Gillette Stadium. The quarterfinals of the NCAA men's lacrosse team on ESPN2 at 2:30. So back to what we're talking about here. Jim seems to be like a guy who gets it. He wants to understand the fact that it's not just going to be one sport that makes money for you. It's going to be all the sports that have to bring some kind of revenue in. Not everybody's a football fan. Not everybody's a basketball fan. But if you can find a fan at one of your sports and bring them in, you might be able to, as a sense of camaraderie, of a school camaraderie, that, hey, I love women's soccer. But you know what? Since I'm an alumni or a student at the University of Maryland, I'm going to support the basketball team. I'm going to support the football team. I'm going to support this athlete. I'm going to support that athlete. So this gentleman is doing a great job of trying to basically, use what he has learned his few decades of working in several sports and bring that all to the University of Maryland. So let's move back on to what Jim has to say about the rest about his plans for here at the University of Maryland.
He noticeably left out one opportunity that I worked in, my time with the World Wrestling Federation. I was not a wrestler, but I was there. But I learned a lot from the WWE. It was WWF then, it's WWE today. But I learned a lot from the WWE about the importance of brand and of fan engagement. So I will bring to this position a wide variety of experiences and lessons from all those different industries. I'm ready for this challenge.
Now that is a little took my heartstrings there. For those who don't know, I am a huge wrestling fan. I watch I watch as much as I can when I can. WWE, AEW, TNA, New Japan, et cetera, et cetera. Say what you will about professional wrestling, they know how to market themselves. They market the brand. When someone says professional wrestling, they don't say professional wrestling. They say WWE or WWF or whatever you want to call it. That's the first thing they think of. They don't think of any of the other brands. You always go directly to WWE when it comes to professional wrestling. So, and the fact that he learned under one of the best promoters in the game, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Say what you want about him. He's not a good person. He's terrible. He's probably a. We won't go there. We won't go there yet because that stuff is a talk for another show. But he was a phenomenal promoter. He knew how to get his brand in front of everybody. It's like, hey, you see that? No, you see that sign, you see that logo, you know what's going on, you know what it is, you know what it's about. And that is something that this man will bring to University of Maryland as the athletic director. Moving on.
Barry P. Gossett, Director of Athletics, I'm going to focus on excellence across our enterprise. We are going to be good university partners. We've already got a sports management program underway with the Smith School of Business. There's more to do.
That's an interesting point he said. The Smith School of Business, which is Maryland's obviously College of Business. It's a good way to integrate. Hey, you have students who are business majors. It's a good way to get them to learn how to, there's a field in that, there is jobs to be had in sports that are not on the field, either in coaching or playing. There are jobs in front offices, there are jobs in marketing, there are jobs in, media relations, there are jobs in such and such where students can learn how to do those jobs at the Smith School of Business and take that to the next level and be another way to recruit talented people, and not just athletes and coaches, but business minds to the University of Maryland to help increase university revenue. So let's see what else he has to say about this.
To make Maryland athletics an essential and integral part of the University of Maryland. We're going to be good Big Ten colleagues. Commissioner Petiti, we're going to do our part to continue to position the conference as the best in the nation. And I promise might be too strong, to keep our complaints about the officials to an absolute minimum.
Again, good sense of humor, which we want to have. That means he's very personal, very likable. He was going to be able to shake hands and kiss babies with the right people to help bring some more money to the University of Maryland. Moving on.
And we're going to build the best athletic program in the country. This department has already done amazing things, and we talked about the 49 conference championships. It's a testament to the leadership of the department, and incredible coaching staff, and the great work that was done before me for the better part of a decade. For 49 titles since joining the Big Ten. Our recent academic scores are the best in our history. When it opens in a few short months, the new Barry P. Gossett Basketball Performance Center will rival any basketball facility in the country. We also just opened new facilities for baseball, softball, field hockey, and women's lacrosse. We have an incredible strong foundation here to build on.
Again, Maryland has the foundation. Now we just need this man, James Smith, to take us over the top and get us to the level of a Ohio State, of a Penn State, of a Michigan when it comes to we're there in other sports. Maryland's been historically known as a basketball school, and we were making our basketball program better. That is as huge. And now if we can get our football program somewhere near to that level, don't have to. I'm not saying we're going to be Ohio State right out the gate. I'm not saying we'll be Penn State or Michigan right out the gate because those organizations have had decades upon decades of sustained success. And Maryland, how it has peaks and valleys when it comes to being good football. As we had a down year last year, but before that, 4 consecutive winning seasons, 3-0 in our last bowl games. So you got to remember, it is a marathon, not a sprint. So you got to give this man the time to build these relationships he needs to help increase revenue and help make Maryland an elite football program, an elite athletic program, because we're there in other sports. Now we just got to bring football up to the level of the rest of the sports. Moving on.
We're going to focus on alumni engagement. We're going to focus on filling SECU's stadium and Xfinity Center with Terp fans. And we're going to give the best fan experience in the country.
That's a good point. Alumni engagement. Now, for those who don't realize that if you think about all the other schools in the Big Ten, they always, tout out who won the Heisman from this school, who's in the NFL from this school, blah, 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 blah. Maryland is slept on when it comes to their famous alumni. Obviously, we talk about Jim Henson and Kermit the Frog here as being great Maryland alumni, but we have great Maryland alumni athletes too. If you want to look at it from people such as basketball, we had Lion Baxter who killed it for us. We had Vernon Davis. We had Christy Tolliver, who's funny story, who is from my neck of the woods down the Shenandoah Valley. We had Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore. Recently, Fat Steve Brake, Juan Dixon. All these guys who came to Maryland, succeeded in Maryland. He's going to reach out to these guys to bring them back to say, hey, you guys are part of the Maryland family, and let's let's use you guys to be great ambassadors of the program if they're not previously committed to for being coaches or whatever at other universities. But that's something they can work a deal on somehow down the line. But yeah, just think about it. EJ Henderson, Limba, we have a lot of guys out there who can have been great ambassadors for the University of Maryland for alumni. And another thing is filling the stadium with Terp fans. There's nothing worse than seeing Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State come to town and have their fans take over our stadium. He wants to make it to where it's a home field advantage for the Maryland Terrapins to play whenever, no matter who comes into town. Ohio State, you come in the house, you're gonna see that Maryland came to play. Maryland came to show up. The fans came to say, "Hey, this is our house. You will not take this house over." So moving on to more of what Jim Smith has to say here.
We're going to focus on revenue because make no mistake about it, to compete with the caliber of schools, not just in the Big Ten, but across the country, we must increase our revenues. So we're going to be trying a few new things. I'm not going to tell anyone any of them today. Taking new approaches, applying what I've learned from professional leagues here and bring them to college athletics. Now, I do need to put all this into context. While revenue and brand and competitiveness on the field is critical for our success, we will not lose sight of our enduring mission.
Yes, what he said is important. You can put it in context. Brand. Think about, I've been saying this since we started the show, Under Armour. You think about Oregon has Nike, they're all over the place. Everyone sees Oregon has a new uniform every week made by Nike. Phil Knight is big. He's a big person in that era. And I'm not saying Under Armour has the financial resources that Nike has, but they have some. And branding. Let's look at our flag. I mean, that's that most distinct thing in the world. Use that. Use our flag. Use the location where we are in the DMV, where we are. we're only like we're just outside the nation's capital. We have tons of freaking, what you call them, dignitaries and blah 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 who come in the area. Show them what turf life is all about. Show them the fact that the University of Maryland is and can be a player on a national and even global level when it comes to branding, marketing, etc. Now, he said he's not going to release all his plans when it comes to what he's going to do when it comes to raising funds, but I do believe he has a great plan, great idea since he did bring the All Star game to Atlanta. He's helped he built that whole area up in Truist Field where it's basically like a mini city around the ballpark. So I can see him, I can see him doing something like that here and at the University of Maryland. Like I said, like unlike most big colleges where they're in small cities, rural areas where there's not much besides the college. Um, Maryland, like I said, is in a 10th, it fluctuates anywhere between 8 and 11 median market in the United States. That means eyes are on your product. So if he can tap into the fact that we are in a top 10 media market, that's going to be huge for the University of Maryland when it comes to raising revenues. So let's see what else he has to say here.
I'm also going to be a relentless supporter of our student athletes. That means investing in academic support, nutrition and training, leadership development, mental health services, brand building, and financial wellness. All of these things create the holistic athlete that we're trying to create while winning championships. Because our job, and that goes for every coach and administrator in this room, is to develop our young women and men into leaders beyond the field, to be productive members of our country and our society in whatever field they choose to explore. That has been our core mission and will continue to be our core mission. Finally, before I finish, I want to acknowledge my family for their support. My wife, Polly, is here with me today. Dr. Pines introduced her. I have 4 grown children, Rachel, Courtney, Daniel, and Emily, who I know are watching this live and critiquing my performance in the real-time family group chat. I can't imagine what it's going to say, but I'm looking forward to reading it later. Together, they truly represent the foundation of my life, both personally and professionally. Holly, I love you. I love the kids. I hope they're watching. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to lead Maryland Athletics. From the moment I was announced as the athletic director a week ago yesterday, maybe, I've been struck by 3 things. First, I've had the opportunity to connect with many of our head coaches, both in person, on the phone, or via text. In fact, I met with Coach Tillman and the men's lacrosse team this morning and to wish them good luck as they leave for the Final Four. And what I've learned is that every coach, either they're fooling me, or every coach has a fierce commitment to Maryland. For them, Maryland is the destination. And so it is for me too. I've also been struck by the talented administrators I've met. They've greeted me warmly and, more importantly, expressed an openness to new ideas, to different thinking, and about how we might change things, improve things here at Maryland. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the professionalism and optimism for the future. And finally, I've been in touch with many, many alumni and supporters. Kirby is wearing me out. And every one of them has been incredibly gracious and welcoming and promising to help in any way. And it's genuine, it's unique, and it's special. So with committed coaches, dedicated staff, and supportive alumni and friends, I really believe we are well positioned to collectively reshape our athletic department to ensure Maryland remains at the forefront of the truly great athletic programs in the country. Thank you again. I'm honored to be your athletic director, and go Terps.
Now, he said there, he's happy to be here. He's excited to be here. He wants to make the program better. Just think about that for a second, ladies and gentlemen. He wants to be here. our last AD, he said he wanted to be here, and then he's like, "Oh no, I want to go somewhere else because So all hopes that he will be, you know, the man he says he is when it comes to raising money. So let's talk about what he's going to do here. There was a Q&A session later in that episode, the press conference, where a couple of members of the media, your boy was there. Unfortunately, I was not one of the big wigs who got to ask a question. Washington Post, WTOP, and some other Diamondback, of course, because that is the paper of the University of Maryland. So they're going to get their question in, and a few other media members who are able to get a question in. So this is the Q&A question with President Pines and AD Smith when it comes to what their plans are for the University of Maryland athletics moving forward. So let's take a look at what they had to say.
Hey Jim, Kareem from the Washington Post. Welcome, good to meet you. There's been a lot of talk about change this morning already, and I'm wondering if you could share, we've talked about your kind of background and your experiences, what your vision, your thoughts of how to approach this NIL space that we all know is still evolving, and Maryland has kind of lagged a little bit behind in recent years. So how do you want to approach that space?
Great. Well, thanks for the hardball to start with. Fascinating to start with. Didn't waste much time. So it's when we were going through the process, Maryland's made the commitment to make the full investment of the $20.5 million or so, depending on what the judge determines, but into their programs, right? And then we have to figure out how we're going to complement that, so we can continue to recruit at the highest level. And I think it's a little early to say, hey, I've got this vision. I've got to get in and spend some time with the coaches and with the administrators in the university to say, hey, how do we want to raise the funds that are necessary to compete at the absolute highest level? So I think in the short answer, there's a good plan in place for the short term, and I'm looking to kind of amplify that plan as soon as I get going.
We'll go to Heather McDonough in the middle.
Hi Jim, Heather McDonough, NBC4. Thanks for watching last night. You've had so much experience in so many different places. When you're looking at this job, and this job came open, when other people look at jobs, they're like, hey, that fits me, that fits me. Did this seem like the perfect fit for you? And what can you take from all those different places that you plan on implementing, maybe some of the key characteristics and things that you learned in those roles?
So it's an interesting time in college athletics, right? I think if you were to say 4 years ago, this job is different and I'm not the candidate. I think it's just evolved to the point today where it requires someone who understands how a campus operates and can bring in a different experience on how to generate additional revenue that has been in a lot of different areas. So when I was presented the job description, it was very interesting. And so it made me start thinking about what is the University of Maryland trying to accomplish that everybody else isn't. And so I entered the process and I learned very quickly that part of the future of this university and its future success is the gentleman sitting next to me. Because you can't have success in athletics without someone who truly believes in athletics. And that's what made it very interesting. So going through the process, I did not know Dr. Pines, but I got to know him and I feel very confident that we can accomplish big things together here at the University of Maryland.
That's right. It is a collective working relationship between the president and the athletic director. The president has his hands in everything, but he also wants to, has his hands in athletics too. So the working relationship between these two is going to be very important when it comes to moving forward as a collaboration. So let's continue what they have to say about this Q&A here.
Deciding are you more a Bentley's or Cornerstone person at this point? You still have some time for that.
SVP?
The right answer is Bentley.
Yes, they're right. Bentley's over Cornerstone. Sorry, Cornerstone people, but Bentley's is the way to go.
All right, we'll go to Dave Preston on the right-hand side by the wall.
Dave Preston, WTOP Radio in Washington. Welcome to campus, Jim. You've had a lot of different experiences over the years, most recently at the professional level with the Atlanta Braves. What do you feel you gained the most from the Braves and your experiences there that will help you here?
So the Braves are a championship organization. Winning a World Series things have to go right. Everything has to be in place. Everything has to be thought about for the moment that you're ready to win that championship. And that's an organization that's ready to win championships. So I learned a lot from being in there, and then I learned a lot about how to make a championship organization better. And being a senior leader there and figuring out how we can continue to improve. Won the World Series in 21, an incredible experience, but so consistently competitive over time. And I think that's what we all aspire to in working in sports, is to be consistently competitive.
And for those who don't know, I am a huge Atlanta Braves fan, so another check in the box for me when it comes to this guy's resume. He helped us win that 2021 World Series. He helped build that amazing Truist Park area, where, like I said, it's basically like a mini city with all the restaurants and all the events. It's a year-round event center versus just being a baseball stadium. So maybe he could bring some of those concepts, some of those ideas to the University of Maryland. To the University of Maryland, as it comes to using some of our facilities to possibly help increase revenue. We have a very nice basketball arena. Football stadium could probably use a little upgrades, but it is there to be used for other events when there is no football being played there. So yeah, this guy, I can't say kid, he's older than I am. This man has the right head. He has a good head on his shoulders when it comes to having ideas, which I want to see come through. I want to see what he has in plan for the University of Maryland when it comes to our athletics. I want to see where he's going to take this franchise, because I believe like I said, his experience in the professional and college sports, he's seen them both. He knows what works, what doesn't work. So let's keep going on with what Jim Smith has to say.
And to follow up, do you have any cool wrestling stories to share?
For another time.
All right, we'll go to Taylor Lyons.
Jim, Taylor Lyons, Baltimore Sun. You're going to inherit a football coach who's been here for 7 years, under contract for a few more. You're an Ohio State guy. You know what it takes to win in football in the Big Ten. What are your expectations for Loxley and for Maryland football moving forward?
So Coach Locks and I have talked a lot about where we are as a program. I think he feels really good with the recruits that we brought in, but also part of it is it's on our responsibility to make sure he's got the funding that's necessary to compete at the level with the other Big Ten programs. So I'm optimistic about the season that's coming up. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can bring more to the table to make sure Maryland football can be successful here.
That is a very interesting point, because, like I said, Coach Loxley is coming off of one of his worst seasons since he's been here and since he took over. Obviously, those first few years are kind of, you're taking over interim and you come to full-time head coach. It is hard to to get your foot in the door, but he did win. Like I said, he did have 4 straight winning seasons, 3-0 bowl games. Last year was a down year because due to the quarterback play, but he does have 3 quarterbacks in-house who are competing for the starting job, who look like they might be the real deal. So the fact that he's going to give Coach Loxley the opportunity to continue to build this program to be a consistent winner is very important to me as a fan, and because there are too many times in college sports where the fan base, the administration, they aren't patient enough. They think that, well, this school is doing this, so we should be doing this immediately. Like, sometimes you guys stay in your lane. Sometimes you realize, hey, we are not the 10, 11, 12 win school that's going to the college football playoff every year, but we can be that 8 to 11 win school that's going to, pop into the college football playoffs every now and then, depending on our recruiting class, how well everything comes together. But we're still going to be a bowl eligible school every year, and not the mayonnaise bowl. Mark's favorite bowl he was talking about. He doesn't want too much damn mayonnaise on his sandwiches when it comes to bowling. If you do go a bowl game, we want a warm weather bowl game. We don't want. And it also depends on the money, because some of those cold weather bowl games do bring in some money, like the Pinstripe Bowl, the Motor City Bowl. The Motor City Bowl is indoors, so it will be a little easier to handle. But like I said, this man is focused on making Maryland as the best possible it can be, and that is starting with increasing revenue. So let's move forward here.
Sam Jane.
Hey Jim, thank you for your time today. Sam Jane, Inside Maryland Sports. I wanted to ask, you talked about revenue. Maryland's ranked second to last in the Big Ten and has been in deficit 2 of the past 3 years. You you said you weren't going to say any of the plans you take today, but just what was the focus on in terms of generating revenue, and how do you expect to do that better than it's been done in the past?
So you look at a lot of factors, you do a lot of analysis, you spend a lot of time understanding the market, the business, what we do, how we price. All of those things are variables, and every professional sports team does. And I think my experience when I was with the Atlanta Falcons, when we moved down there, we were at the bottom of the NFL in revenue. I won't say we were, I can't say that, we're live streaming. So we were near the bottom. What it does is it takes a commitment of focus, just like coaching. If you're committed and you're focused to the goals, you will achieve. And so that's what we slowly did in Atlanta. I'm not going to tell you this is an overnight. There's no silver bullets from going towards the bottom of the Big Ten to the top of the Big Ten from a revenue. But there's a lot of opportunity here. And I'm really excited to explore the opportunity.
There you go. He said patience. There's no, quick way from the bottom to the top. It's a process. It is going to take, everybody putting their best foot forward in order to help turn this thing around when it comes to being financially second to the bottom in the Big Ten, which is crazy because there's 18 teams in the Big Ten. So I don't know the actual numbers or the rankings. Please tell me we're better than Rutgers. I hope we're not worse than Rutgers, but that Jersey area does have a lot of money. But yeah, he said he helped the Atlanta Falcons go from towards the bottom towards the top. He's the Atlanta Braves. His history speaks for itself when it comes to what he can do when it comes to raising money. And like I said earlier, we are in the DC area, the DMV. We have a reach as far south as the Carolinas. We have as far reach north as New York. We can bring some money from even further away, even further outside of the DMV area. We can bring it in from your areas, because like I said, college football is big in the South. We are in the Mid-Atlantic. We're not technically the South, even though the Mason-Dixon line is the northern border of Maryland. But that's for people who don't know. We need to embrace this area when it comes to making revenue. For example, UVA and Virginia Tech, the other two big football schools in the area, are not having their best years. UVA's been struggling on and off. Tech is not the same without Beamer ball. So maybe we can take some of what they used to bring to the table when it comes to this area of football and bring it to the University of Maryland. So that is, like I said, I'm excited to see what he has to offer. I'm excited to see what he wants to bring here. But let's keep listening to what he has to say in the Q&A session.
And President Pines, how much of a focus was revenue generation during the search?
It was a major focus. What we can't share is the ideas that Jim shared with the search committee and me. Ideas I've never heard of that I think will be significant going forward. But Jim also really wanted this job. He was impressed by our coaches and their success, the 49 championships. He felt that Maryland batted above its average based on its revenue that it had, its operating budget. And he thought that he could really improve that and then get us to bat even greater above our average. So I was really excited with the ideas and just his enthusiasm for this was a destination for him.
Time for one last question. Michael Howes.
Hi, Jim. Michael Howes, the Diamondback. Given your experience with the Atlanta Braves, how do you plan to support Coach Swope's baseball program here, given the new challenges with NIL, rev share, and now the increased scholarship spots for a baseball team?
So I'm not sure about the compliance rule and what I can and can't do before I get here, but Coach he's been very involved with a number of Braves players. So I know a little bit about his approach to baseball, and I'm really excited to be working with him, and we'll figure out a way to get the Braves involved up here for sure.
All right, that concludes this portion of today's event. Let's give one final round of applause for our new Barry P. Gossett Director of Athletics, Jim Smith. All right, thank you all for coming, and go Terps!
I want to throw my own applause in there because I like what I heard. I mean, this is the third time I've listened to the speech, and each time I'm become more and more impressed with what he has to say. Uh, it's like I said, it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. It's going to take him time to build these relationships, to build up what he wants to do when it comes to making Maryland a more fiscally, and not fiscally, financial, you know, more revenue. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just going to keep it simple here. More revenue bringing to the University of Maryland. So think about what that has to mean about, like I said, his relationship with the coaches, his relationship with other departments in the college. Like I said, the Smith College of Business. That's going to be huge working relationship when it comes to trying to find new ideas. The young people out there who are trying to find new ways to make money in this economy. That's going to be a brilliant way to help bring in revenue. And honestly, I'm just all I can say is I'm just excited. I'm not going to be with one of those people who's like he doesn't do it in the first year, he should go. Blah blah blah. I want to say you got to give this the revenue part is going to be the most important part, like because that's going to help. Like I said all the new facilities we built, the football facility, the baseball, soccer, women's lacrosse, all these things are being built to help improve the athletic program. And if you not notice that when teams that have good athletic programs bring in more revenue for other things in the school, such as you know like I said, the College of Business, that's going to be a good, way to raise money. That the medical department, school, College of Medicine, you want to have, future doctors, who will get their training working on some of our athletes, uh, sports psychologists, our psychology department, help these guys get over the yips when it comes to their struggling. Uh, the journalism department, this that's where I got my start. I got my start, at the college, in the field, at the at Knight Hall on the University of Maryland. Some of my professors were, the guys like Kevin Blackerstone, George Solomon, who was there for a long time, Irish Miller, who was there for a long time. The journalism department, they're going to learn how to cover, top tier professional sports. So this is a win-win for everybody. So, like I said, once James E. Smith gets his, feet in the door, gets himself situated, he still has to finish his job out. So he's taking over in I think he's taking over in June as new full-time AD. He's got some he's got to finish a few previous commitments before he takes over. So I'm just excited to see what happens with this team, and it is what it is, and it's going to be a fun ride. So we are taking bandwagon jumpers. I used to be an anti-bandwagon guy, but hey, if you're on my bandwagon, I'm all good with it. So once again, congratulations to James E. Smith. He is the Barry P. Gossett, excuse me, director of athletics for the University of Maryland, starting in June, and he is here for the long haul, and he's going to be the man to help move Maryland to the 21st, second, third, fourth, and fifth centuries, if we're still playing college football in those times of the earth still exists. But that's another topic for another day. So now, what we're going to do here is to go elsewhere in Maryland sports. Like I said earlier, the men's lacrosse team is going to have a huge, huge game Saturday afternoon in Gillette Stadium, where they will be facing the Syracuse Orange. Maryland is the number 2 seed. They were 13-3, 3-2 in the Big Ten, versus Syracuse were 13-5, 2-2 in the ACC. The semifinals will be on, like I said, on May 24th at 2:30 p.m. on ESPN two at Gillette Stadium. So tune in to see our real our Terps to go. I will be at work, unfortunately, but I will be tuning in and chipping in through my ESPN app, just keeping up the store, just to support our guys here on the lacrosse field. And speaking of that same lacrosse team, we do have seven of those Terps on our men's lacrosse team named All American honors. That would be Brendan Erska, Jr., Jack McDonald, grad student, uh, Will Schaller, Jr., Bryce Ford, a grad student, Eric Collar, a judge junior, Logan McNanny, a grad student, and Eric Spanis, who all were named to the All American team with and then that means congratulations to those guys, and hopefully they can take those All American honors and add a nice little ring to that collection of awards, especially for the grad students and the seniors who are this is their final year. So hopefully they can finish their careers with a championship in lacrosse, adding to our total of championships from 48 to 49, helping us increase our overall championships in that Capital One Cup. Also, I want to talk about in track and field, we had 10 Terps qualify for the NCAA track and field East first round. Um, that is pretty impressive. We have players mentioned. We have, I'm going to give you with these names here. Tulu Akinduro. She does the jumps and the hurdles. Morgan Graham, who does I'm sorry, Tulu Akinduro is a junior who does jumps and hurdles. Morgan Graham, sophomore, who does the throws. Maya Mosley, a junior in sprints. Jack Barkett, who's a distance runner, a graduate student. Maya Valman, excuse me, a grad student in sprints. Eric Albright, middle distance runner, is a senior. Cami Jo Hickson, grad student, also a middle distance runner. Chinoa Njoku, grad student in throws. And Lydia Robling, who's our fifth year in sprints. Congratulations to those 10 who are showing up and showing out for the NCAA qualifiers in Jacksonville, Florida. Um, Available to watch on ESPN Plus. So check your if you have the ESPN Plus app, check where you can go to follow the young ladies who are doing great things in track and field. And last bit of news I want to bring up: Maryland basketball to open its season in the Hall of Fame series in Baltimore uh, on Monday, November 3rd at CFG Bank Arena against Coppin State as part of the Naismith Hall of Fame series in Baltimore. The event will be a doubleheader with local teams, as also with Towson will be facing Loyola. So it's going to be all Maryland area teams playing in a doubleheader for the James Naismith Hall of Fame Series, Baltimore. There's a quote from Coach Buzz Williams. The Hall of Fame Series will be a tremendous way to open the upcoming season, and it's going to be special for passionate basketball fans of Baltimore, said Coach Buzz. I believe the last time the University of Maryland's men's team played in Baltimore was in 2018, so it'll be a good opportunity to get the Terps back in the city with such great basketball history. Maryland has a 2-1 all-time edge versus the Eagles. Last time the Eagles won was in 1989. I was in grade school, so it's been a hot minute. So that's a good way. Like so, once again, this is another way that they can help increase revenue. We don't always have to play our home games at the is it called the Wells Fargo Center now? Yeah, because they keep changing the names. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing the fact that you're it's a home game technically, but you're not going completely neutral field. You're not going way out of the way. You're still within driving range of the campus, and the local fans can still make the trip up to Baltimore and hang out. In Baltimore, have a make a night of it. Have a nice go have dinner, have a beverage. Get a hotel room. Don't drink and drive, please. Be safe, be responsible, or take the Mark train up there to hop off right there in the Inner Harbor and walk your way down to the to CFG Bank Arena against Coppin State. So that is all we have today for the Voice of College Football. Maryland Live at the Voice of College Football. I am your host, Charles Younger. Once again, Mark Gray was not with us today. He is celebrating his second wedding anniversary down at right near the beach. Boy, just kidding. He's having a good time with his wife, Ronnie. He will be back next week, and we'll probably do a little more follow up on Coach. I say Coach with the AD James E. Smith. He'll tell his little stories about his funny little honeymoon. It'll be PG, so don't worry about it. And we will be here, like I said, live every Friday at 2 p.m. on the Voice of College Football. So, like I said, I am your boy, Charles Younger. You can follow me across all social media at CHARLESNYONGA. Follow me on Facebook, IG, X, Blue Sky, TikTok, Snapchat, Threads. And I'm missing any? Did I say Snapchat? Snapchat. Hell, I might even go back on MySpace. Bring it back up. Bring it back. Bring back MySpace. Bring back MySpace. So once again, this has been Maryland Live for the Voice of College Football. I am your host, Charles Younger. Until next week, go Terps, fear the turtle, and it's all good in your hood.